Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 34, B, the Lone Warrior, the Terror of Grapploct. This was the 1119th episode of the Pokémon anime. Ash took on a Galar gym leader in this episode, but was he able to defeat B? Let's run through the highlights and then get into the review. The episode opens with a recap of Ash's World Coronation Series journey so far, highlighting his undefeated record. I wonder why they'd make such a big point about how Ash hasn't lost yet. We cut to Saffron City, where Ash and Go are visiting the fighting dojo. Straight off the bat, this episode reminded me of the episode in the Advanced Generation series when Ash challenged Greta during the Battle Frontier saga. He won that 2v2 battle against a fighting type expert, so how would he do this time? We'll get to that in a minute. The other thing this made me think of was when Ash and friends visited Saffron City just before that match against Greta. In the episode Pasta La Vista, Ash and May got tangled up in this weird mess about a family dojo in Saffron City, but I guess this must have been a different dojo to the one that Ash and Go visited in this episode. That episode during the Battle Frontier arc was actually the last episode ever with the original voice actors in the English dub, so I just thought I'd bring that up as a little bit of a fun fact. Anyways, Ash and Riolu are training with some of the other fighting types, while Go is having a hard time deciding whether to pick a Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan. Apparently, you get to choose between the two, just like in the Kanto games when you visit the fighting dojo. Just then, Ash gets notified about a nearby World Coronation Series trainer. As he goes to check out his potential competition, a Hitmonchan comes flying through the entrance and drills him, and it turns out this was the Karate Master's Pokemon getting soundly defeated by a challenger. We see that his challenger was actually B, who's alongside a very intimidating looking Grapploct. Her and Ash's Rotom phones connect, and their World Coronation Series match is made official. Surprisingly, Ash is going to have his first match against a Galar gym leader in Kanto? Before they can get the match started inside the fighting dojo, we get to hear some backstory about B, and how she's a fighting type trainer, as well as a master of Galar karate herself. We learn that she travels around challenging dojos and the like in order to test herself, and her rank in the World Coronation Series is actually 751, which is nearly 140 places higher than Ash. Still, Ash is confident, and he brings up that he did just beat Karina, another fighting type gym leader, and as far as Ash is concerned, Karina is the strongest fighting type gym leader that he knows. Well, that changes fast after B mentioned that she has also battled against Karina, but B defeated her with ease, saying that she was far too soft. I was a little surprised to hear B sound and act like this, but it actually makes sense. Now, I had to do some research about this since I've never actually played Pokemon Sword, I only have Shield, but B's lead cards in Pokemon Sword actually back up this kind of character that she was showing in this episode. Normally, gym leaders are positive and full of energy, but B, not so much. Apparently, her calm, composed focus makes it seem like she lacks emotion, but in reality, she just doesn't want to show any weakness. Now that we finally gotten all of that out of the way, it's time for the battle to start. It's a 2-on-2 match with Ash sending out his Farfetch to take on Hawlucha. If I had one complaint about this episode, it's that it took the entire first half of the episode just to set up this battle. I actually really liked the setup and backstory about B, but obviously since the battles are my favorite part, I just always want those to get a ton of time. Oh well, this is just me nitpicking. Anyways, Farfetch'd and Hawlucha start off the match with an alright back and forth, but B's Hawlucha is just too quick and too strong for Ash and Farfetch'd. They do manage to land a hit on it with Brutal Swing, but Hawlucha effortlessly transitions from taking damage to landing a Flying Press, knocking Farfetch'd out and giving B the advantage. Did Farfetch'd look kind of weak here? Yes, but I guess we never really see Ash training with it much, so let's see how his second Pokemon fares. Before Ash can send out another Pokemon, B switches Hawlucha out for Grapploct. The Karate Master puts over how dangerous this Pokemon is, and Riolu steps up to the challenge. Obviously, we're going to talk more about what this battle meant for Ash once it's over, but it is worth mentioning that he is using what are probably his two weakest Pokemon in this match. If he wanted to win at all cost, he probably would have just used Pikachu and Dragonite. Instead, it's time for Riolu's first real test. Grapploct dodges Vacuum Wave with Detect, and Riolu is able to dodge Close Combat with Double Team, but Liquidation overwhelms it. By the way, Liquidation is one of my favorite moves in the anime purely because I think it's awesome when the trainer says, "I could break it!" Not as epic in the English dub, but that's not what I'm reviewing right now. We go inside Ash's head a few times during this battle, and you can tell he's trying to find a weak spot to aim for, or some unorthodox tactic that will give him an advantage. At one point, Go calls this Ash's craziness, which is a phrase he's used before to describe Ash's unique battling style. Unfortunately, in this instance, Ash doesn't have much to work with, battling fighting type versus fighting type on the most basic of battlefields. Ash's dilemma is that since Grapploct can easily dodge Vacuum Wave with Detect, then he needs to get close enough for Riolu to use its direct attacks. Issue is, Grapploct is an octopus, and it's nearly impossible to get close enough to land any of those attacks. Like I said before, this would be a different story if Ash could use something like Thunderbolt, Hurricane, or Psychic, but his options are pretty limited with Riolu. He nearly finds an opening after using Force Palm on the ground, but B and Grapploct are incredibly disciplined, and the second Riolu gets within reach, Octolock is applied and Riolu has nowhere to go. Just when it looks like this is the end, Riolu manages to break free after Ash tells it to kick the floor, which causes damage to Grapploct while breaking free of the Octolock. Ash pulls out his trump card by using Reversal, which is a move that gets stronger the lower a Pokemon's health is. Despite that, Liquidation is still even with it in power, and with Riolu near exhaustion, B is able to go on the offensive and apply another Octolock. And this time, even Riolu's legs are locked up tight. Unwilling to give up, B ends the match decisively with another Liquidation, this one directly hitting a defenseless Riolu, and the animation really sold this as a finishing blow. I mean, Riolu looked like it had the life knocked straight out of its body. And that's that. Ash has finally lost in the World Coronation Series. B leaves pretty quickly, and Ash is so shaken up by the loss, he doesn't even turn and promise to defeat B in a rematch or anything like that, so you can tell he's pretty shaken up by this defeat. Back at the Pokemon Center, we see that Go got a Hitmonchan after beating the Karate Master in a battle. I kind of wish we could have got to see part of that match, but the focus is still on Ash, who apologizes to his Pokemon for ruining their unbeaten streak. He says that he's never had a battle like that before, and I'm not sure if he means the type of battle where it was pretty much all direct attacks between fighting types, or if he's referring to a battle where he was so soundly defeated, because Ash has definitely taken his fair share of lopsided defeats in the past, but he's always managed to rebound from them. The episode ends with Ash promising to get revenge on B sooner or later, which sets up a possible rematch down the line, and the narrator emphasizes how Ash has a long way to go in his World Coronation Series journey. I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10 rating. I've been saying for a while now that I was looking forward to seeing Ash lose a match for once in the World Coronation Series, and I think this was an effective way to hand him his first loss. Obviously, Ash was a little overconfident going into this match, but B was made out to be a really strong trainer, so there's no shame in this defeat in my opinion. They did kind of lay it on a little thick that Ash was going to lose with all the build-up prior to the battle and all the re-emphasizing of his undefeated streak. I thought the flashbacks involving Karina were a good addition to the story, and we knew Ash was going to be in for a challenge after we heard that B more or less wiped the floor with Karina. I was surprised at how antagonistic they made B seem in this episode, since we usually see gym leaders be generally friendly and positive, but B was a little more cool and hard. Like I said before, this fits in with her character in the games, but it was still very different from what we're used to seeing in the anime, but I think that's a good thing because it makes B stand out. Of course, this is setting up a storyline where Ash will probably have a rematch against B at some point, so we have that to look forward to in the future. Whether that's the near future or somewhere further down the line, I'm not sure. It was established in this episode that B travels around challenging other fighting dojos in similar places, so this rematch could realistically take place anywhere, anytime. If I had to guess, maybe the fighting dojo on the Isle of Armor will be the site of their rematch. Will Ash's Riolu get its revenge, or will it be a Lucario by that point? Getting back to this episode, Ash took an interesting approach to this battle against B, since it's a pretty bold move to match up against a fighting type specialist with two of his own fighting types, especially when you consider that they're probably his two weakest Pokemon at the moment. That being said, I mentioned last week how things would be boring if he just took on every single opponent with Pikachu, Gengar, and Dragonite, so I'm glad Ash switched it up this week. Could Ash have won if he had used different Pokemon? I think so, but I preferred this story instead. This episode gets a 7 because it was a downer to see Ash lose, but I am excited at the prospect of their rematch, and when Ash finally overcomes B, that episode will be all the better because of the story that started in this one. The next episode is going to be about Go catching a Pikachu. Ash seems somewhat uncomfortable with the idea of one of his friends also having a Pikachu, so we'll see how this episode goes. It looks like Go's Pikachu will be a girl, so maybe Pikachu will gain a love interest. I don't know, that seems kind of ridiculous to me, but I'm more interested in whatever happens with this Thunderstone. If I had to guess, Ghost Pikachu will have evolved into a Raichu by the end of the episode, but I can guarantee you that I'll give my review of it some clickbait title like Ash's Pikachu evolves into Raichu. That's all I've got for this week. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought about Ash vs. B in the comments, and drop your predictions on where and when their rematch will take place. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys next time.